Hello, everybody, and welcome back to At Your Own Pace. This is the show for runners who are showing up however they can on whatever week life is handing them. I'm Mike of Mike Runs Marathons, and whether you're chasing a Boston qualifier, your first 5K, or just the next mile, you are in the right place. Every Monday, we open up with a little real talk from my week on the run. Then we sit down with someone whose story is going to leave you a little bit more fired up than when you press play. So lace up, settle in, and let's run this one together. Now, I want to apologize in advance about the intro. I know it's rather short. I'm in the process of trying to refilm the intro portion for this season and for future seasons. The reason I'm not using season ones is because those of you that don't know this, I thought that this podcast only recorded audio and I thought this podcast only posted audio to things like Apple and Spotify and Audible. And then I discovered, looking on YouTube after about the second or third episode, that there's a video portion of this that gets posted onto my YouTube channel. So it has the entire video podcast interview with the guest and everything. And the intro is actually an audio. So what it would show is just a black screen while you listen to the intro, and then I would come back in. And I don't want that. I want there to be a video showing the individuals that are speaking rather than just hearing their voices. So that should be changed relatively soon. Just depends on when I get the time to do it. So apologies for right now to this kind of lackadaisical kind of intro. But I digress. Thank you so much for being here. I want to give everybody a trigger warning about this portion of the episode because it does deal with mental health, it does deal with self-harm, it does deal with suicide. So if that is something that is too close to home for you, feel free to skip this portion and go right into the interview. But if not, I wanted to share with you my story about how running changed my life. I know I had made an Instagram post about this the other day, kind of going into a little bit of detail of what led me into running and what has come out of it, but you can only go so far on carousel posts. So I want to go a little bit deeper and talk about exactly what I was going through so that you can have a better understanding about my life, because my whole goal with this platform is to help other people, not just other runners, but other people, because mental health is one of the most important things to me, just in general. So let's begin. In 2017, I turned 30, and many people see that as a major milestone in your life. You're no longer in your 20s, and a lot of people say that once you hit your 30s, you hit your stride and you really find out what you want to do with your life. But not me. I had been seeing a therapist, and I turned 30 at the end of 2017. And I remember meeting with them and telling them that I never thought I would live to see 30. I thought that there would be just a number of things that would happen to me beforehand. Either I would, get hit by a car or get into an accident or get an illness that would take me out, or I would take my life. And so what it felt like turning 30 to me was like I'd walked off a cliff. I didn't know where the ground was, and all I could see below me were clouds, and I was just falling, not sure when I would hit the ground. And that scared me because I felt like I walked into the unknown, and things kind of culminated one into another. And I remember telling my therapist, I know who I am, but I hate it. I hate who I am, and I don't know what to do to change it. And we fast forward a couple months. I was going through really bad depression. I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't eating. I was really isolating myself. I didn't have any friends. And so in February of that year, I tried to take my life. It was a really dark time. I was cutting myself repeatedly. I was drinking a lot, and it was really scary, when I look back on it. But the moment I made my attempt, I'll never forget this moment. I heard this little voice in the back of my head. It was a little whisper, and I don't feel like it came from me, but it was just a whisper that said, not yet. And that is what gave me the strength to get up and go find help. I spent a couple of days in the hospital, and when I got out, I still wasn't fixed. You see all these things about people going through these events and getting out of the hospital and feeling like everything is turned around and they're just radically going to transform. That was not the case for me. I was at rock bottom, and I still didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. And then I had my girlfriend of 4 years, who I thought I was going to marry, break up with me. It was, what I was going through was too much for her. And at the time I understood it. I wouldn't have wanted to be with me if I were her either, because of the stress I was giving her. And then about a month after that, my uncle passed away. I grew up in a single family household, and so I have very few father figures. And my uncle and my grandpa are pretty much the only two that I have. And my uncle is really important to me because he suffered from mental illness growing up. He had bipolar, and he was the first person to tell me that it was okay to have a mental health issue, that it was okay to take medication to help you with that mental health issue, that therapy was okay. and that it was okay in general to not be okay. The first person in my life, in my family, to tell me that ever. And so losing him was just a massive loss for me. And then just to keep the cascading going, I found out about a month later that I needed to have major surgery in order to stave off cancer, and the surgery failed. And then I found out that I was going to need to have surgeries throughout the rest of 2018 in order to make sure that that didn't happen. And it was very painful, and I would not wish it on my worst enemy. But the real kicker, the thing that forced me to kind of make a change, if you want to call it that, was I went to go see a primary doctor for the first time in about 5 years. And it was a great guy, Dr. Caniso, super Italian, really detailed, did so many tests on me to find out what was wrong with me. And I had incredibly high blood pressure, hypertension too. And he couldn't understand why I had it at such a young age. And he said to me, if you don't start taking care of yourself, if you don't start eating better and taking care of your body, you are going to have a massive heart attack or a massive stroke, and you are going to die. And strokes run on the male side of my family. I've had several family members pass away from them. My uncle had one before he passed away, and it scared me. So I went to the gym, and the way the gym was set up was it was split in two rooms. One was weights and one was cardio. I took one look at the weight section. I saw the buff guys who were lifting heavy things, and I said, nope. And so I went over to the cardio machines, and for some reason I just gravitated to the treadmill and went over to the treadmill furthest side of the room so no one could see me, and I got started. Now, when you hit start on this treadmill, it automatically went for 20 minutes. And so I made it a goal to be able to run for 20 minutes without stopping. And I could not do it at first at all. I could barely get about 30 seconds of running in before I was winded, exhausted, and I just wanted to quit because I didn't have the endurance. I didn't have the cardiovascular ability. It was just, I was 60 pounds heavier than I am now. And so it was debilitating, but I kept at it. And a few months later, I finally hit that goal. And it was that goal that I hit that really sparked something in me. I said to myself, how far can I go? And so I ran my first 5K, 10K, and 15K on the treadmill because I was afraid to run outside. I thought that people were going to judge me for my body type. I thought that I was going to be really slow. People were going to judge me for that. I also just didn't think I was going to be able to keep up with the pace that I wanted to keep up with because I was running on a treadmill. But I decided to run my first race in May of 2019. It was a charity race for NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And it was a 5K. I remember finishing that race and just being so proud of myself. I loved it. And then I was bit by the race bug. I started to look up, where could I do other races? Were there other charity races I could do? And that's when I discovered New York Road Runners. And that's also when I found out about their 9+1 program for the New York City Marathon. And I had not started running at all. I want to preface this at all with wanting to run a marathon. I just wanted to run for 20 minutes without stopping. That was the only thing I wanted to do. I just wanted to get healthier. I wanted to lose some weight, and I just wanted to feel happier with my body and just with my mind. And that's why I started running. But I decided to do the 9+1 program. I decided to sign up for my first race with them, which was the Queens 10K in June. I ran it with Team for Kids. It was a lot easier to get in the races back then. I could register for 9 races in May to run for the rest of the year. You can't do that today. All the races for the summer just sold out in an hour for New York Road Runners this year. But after that race, I was hooked. I ran so many different distances, 4 miles, 10 miles, half marathon, 12 miles. And I kept seeing myself getting faster and faster and healthier. And I was just so proud of the progress I was making. And I qualified for the New York City Marathon for 2020 in October of 2019. And of course, it was canceled in 2020 for COVID. So I ran it in 2021 and I was broken by the time I was done. Broken beyond belief. I thought my feet were broken. I thought that I wasn't going to be able to walk for 2 weeks because of it. I had gone into this race blind. Didn't really have a training plan. Longest run I think I had done was about 16, 17 miles. I didn't understand really anything about nutrition, let alone electrolytes, hydration. I didn't know anything really about running shoes. I just bought what everybody else was using. I didn't know that I had flat feet. Finished the race. Thought my feet were just completely decimated and that I wasn't unable to walk when I finished the race. I had to go over to the med tent, was there for about 30 minutes, covered myself in ice on my ankles, my feet, my knees, my calves, my glutes, my quads. And I thought that was my one and done. I thought that, I had accomplished this massive goal of running the New York City Marathon, but I realized that I wasn't done. No. But then I discovered the World Marathon Majors. I found out about them kind of right before New York City. And I decided to put my name in the hat for Berlin for 2022. And somehow I got in. And that kind of kicked everything off. I ran Berlin and Chicago in 2022. I ran London in 2023. In 2024, I ran Tokyo, and I finished my 6-star journey at Boston in 2024. I ran 4 of those races with charity. So if you have a thing with charity runners, I don't care. Charity runners raise a significant amount of money for different causes, research purposes, and services that are incredible and go towards incredible things. So if you think that charity runners don't belong in the World Marathon Majors, I am sad to say that I 100% think that you are wrong. And I know thousands of other people who will agree with me. And since then, I've run 17 marathons altogether. I just finished Boston 2 weeks ago. I have 3 other marathons lined up for the rest of this year, and I love it. But I never set out to be this kind of person. I never set out to be a marathon runner. I never set out to be a person who would run multiple marathons ever, let alone multiple marathons in a year. And so I discovered something along the way. I was really proud of myself. For the first time in my life, I was proud of myself. I was proud of something that I had accomplished, that I found myself. This was a hobby that I found, that I decided to do. Nobody forced me to do this, and it made me happy. And while it made me happy at the beginning, I hated it, as many of my guests attest to when they first started running. I didn't like it at all, but I knew that I needed to do something in order to get healthier. And it gave me so many more things besides making me healthier physically. Discovered a newfound confidence that I never had. I became more personable. I was very much an introvert before I started all of this. I found my best friends, who were not runners, by the way. After I got out of the hospital, just for a little background about me, I'm a classically trained singer. I've played multiple instruments in my life, played trumpet for 16 years, almost became a music teacher, but fell out of love with it when I had an issue with a teacher in high school. I'm a theater kid, right? I sang musical theater. I sang at home. I loved karaoke, and I discovered all of my friends at a karaoke bar pretty much right after I got out of the hospital in February 2018. And I found them when I needed them. It was like the universe just threw them into my lap, and they wrapped me around with their love, and they knew that I was broken, and they repaired me, and they showed me how to love myself when I didn't know how to do it. And we're still friends to this day. And I cannot thank them enough for everything that they have given me and everything that they have taught me. I don't think I would have been able to start running if it wasn't for them. Running has made me a completely different person. I always tell people that if you had met me in 2018, you would swear that the person that you're speaking to is not the same person that I am today. I consider 2018 to be almost a new birthday. I consider it to be my rebirth. And while I didn't officially die in February of 2018, I do consider it a moment where a part of me died. The part that I didn't love, that sad, depressive, anxious person who hated themselves so much. And don't get me wrong, I'm still depressed. I still have anxiety. I take medication. I'll be on medication probably for the rest of my life. But I've found a way to process it and deal with it in different ways now than I did before. I was cutting, I was drinking, I was doing all these really bad things to myself. And now I can run, I can meditate, I can process things in my head so much easier. And I have running to thank for that. For the most part, therapy has helped a lot, tremendous amount, but running has been just a lifesaver. And that's exactly what it was. It saved my life. It didn't completely fix it, but it gave me a literal reason to move forward. And now everybody sees me as the guy who runs marathons, who they think is crazy, and they still don't understand it. I'm pretty sure that they never will. I sometimes don't even understand why I run marathons, because there are many times where I am halfway through them and I curse and yell and want to quit, but I don't give up. And that is what marathon running has taught me, is to not give up. And that's what I started this platform for. That's why Mike Runs Marathons exist, because I know that there are people out there that are hurting, that are suffering, that are dealing with so much stuff, dealing with so much trauma. And I want them to know that they're not alone in all of this, in what they're going through. Because one, there are definitely people out there that want to help. And two, if you are thinking about getting started with running and you don't know if you want to do it, or for some other reason you feel too depressed to start, you don't think that you're going to be good at it, or all of this other stuff that runs through your head, because there were a million different reasons I went through mine. Just start. You might not like it at first, but if you stick it out and you keep pushing through, I promise you, you will reap the benefits of that sport. You don't have to race. You don't have to be fast. You don't have to be fit. I wasn't fit. I wasn't fast. And I sure as hell didn't race for the first almost year of me running, but I saw what it did to me. And that's why I recommend it to everybody. And my DMs are always open for anybody who has questions, thoughts. They just want to have somebody that they can yell with or listen to, or somebody who will just listen. even if they don't need any advice, they just want to just get it off their chest, what's bothering them. That's what I'm here for. And if you do want to take that first step with your running journey, or if you're new to your running journey, you don't know where to go, or even if you're experienced and you just need somebody to talk to, or somebody that you want to bounce ideas off of, or somebody that you just shoot the shit with, I'm here. I am here. You are not alone in whatever struggle you might be facing. And I guarantee you, for those of you that are thinking about getting started with running, I urge you, for those of you that are thinking about getting started with your running journey, to take that first step. Don't worry about your pace. Don't worry about your finish time. Don't worry about your body type. Don't worry about what you look like when you go out there and you run. Just get started. And thank you so much for listening to my story. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me. I know it was heavy. I know I went through a bunch of stuff, but my goal with this segment is to share more about me with you so that you can understand who I am, because I was told recently that if you look at me, you might not know what I've gone through, because I do put myself together well. I like to think that I do, at least. And that's not the case for many people. We hide it really well, but it doesn't mean that we haven't been through some shit. That's what I like to think about with a bunch of people that I follow as well, is you never know what someone's going through on the inside. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from the folks who help keep this show on the road. And then I've got an unbelievable conversation lined up for you. Don't go anywhere. This episode is brought to you by Shokz. Now, Shokz, if you've never heard of them, is an incredible headphone company that focuses on not just providing good sound quality, but also making sure that you're able to maintain transparency with the... Now, Shokz is a headphone company that not only provides you with incredible sound quality, but also makes it safer for you to run outdoors. They provide transparency with the headphones you wear so that you're able to hear your surroundings while you're out on the trail, out on the road, or just walking around your house. I love Shokz. I have used the vast majority of the headphones that they have. I own the original Open Run Pros, the Open Runs, the Open Run Pro 2, the Open Dots 1, the Open Fit, the Open Fit 2, the Open Air, and I honestly can not think of any pair of their headphones that sounds bad. They are fantastic for my runs. They're even more fantastic for when I bike outside if I do. They are fantastic for my runs because they allow me to run out in the woods or on my bike path that I usually go on, which has no people around and it's surrounded by woods, safely, so that I can hear the bikers coming by me. I can hear other runners. I can hear anything that's going on in the woods, and it makes me feel safe. So if you are looking for a pair of headphones that is a relatively decent price, has great sound quality, and helps you feel safer, definitely check them out. And if you use the code MikeRunsMarathons, you can save a little bit of extra money on those headphones. And I know right now, for Mother's Day, they are doing a sale. I think it's up to 40% off on some of their headphones. So make sure you check that out if you're looking for a new pair. They come in a wide variety of different colors. Shokz.com. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode. And we are back. So you know the drill. Grab some water, find your stride, and meet me in the conversation. Today's guest is someone I've been so excited to speak with my guests, plural, today, who go under the name Caleb's Crew. Now, Caleb and his mom, Karen, live in Jacksonville, Florida. And Caleb, who has Down syndrome, is actually a Guinness World Book of World Record holder as the youngest person with Down syndrome to run a marathon. He ran Chicago last year and recently just ran London. He is, by all accounts, one of the most incredible runners you will ever meet. His personality is electric. He is such a caring and supportive individual, and he loves running. He loves what he does. And not only does he run, but he does triathlons as well. So he bikes and he swims. He is the epitome of what this entire podcast is about. And you can see him do all of these different things with a smile on his face. Behind him the entire way is his mom, Karen, who is also a runner herself, and a very fast one at that, and has run all of his races with him. So I'm so excited to have them on the podcast today to go through their story and to talk about how running and inclusivity in running is so important to them. Today's guest is someone I've been so excited to introduce you to. Today's episode is really special. If you follow Caleb's Crew, you know that this isn't just about running, it's about joy, belonging, and what happens when people are truly welcomed into the sport. Caleb brings an energy, pride, and a heart to every race that he's part of. Karen has always helped build a community that shows what inclusion can actually look like in action and not just in words. This conversation is about more than running. It's about connection, about letting people show up fully as themselves, and about what it means to move at your own pace. And they are the quintessential definition of what this podcast is all about. So I'm really happy to have them both on here. So without further ado, I want to welcome Caleb and Karen. Thank you both so much for being here today.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
And Gaga.
And Coco.
And Coco, how are you both doing?
We're great.
Yeah, I know.
We finished up a big race yesterday, so we're kind of in a little recovery area today. So, but he is swimming later.
Nice. Oh, I wish I could swim. I don't have a pool by me.
It's nice. Heated pool.
That's the life right there. Do you have any other races coming up, Caleb?
Okay.
What's our next race? Do you remember?
Okay, next race is me and Mom.
Yeah. Do you remember what we're going to do? What are your favorite races?
Yeah, this race is Green Monster.
It covers the Green Monster, which is this huge green bridge in Jacksonville, but the race is called the Gate River Run. It's the
Okay.
largest UK in the nation, and it's right here in Jacksonville, which is awesome. So that happens the beginning of March. So we're training for that, but in the meantime, we're ramping up. I don't know if you saw, but we're ramping up for London.
Yes.
We'll be in London in April. So we've kicked that off and are starting our long run. And as you know, because Mike runs marathons, it's going to be hard work from here on out, right? We've got a couple months. The race is the end of April. So that's going to be the biggie this year.
That is awesome. Have you ever been to London?
We have, yeah. We were there we finished a cruise there a few years ago and we had about 3 days in London. Of course, not enough to see all the things that there is to see in London. I'm looking forward to going back and connecting with some online friends. So that will be fun and ready for a challenge, right?
Yeah, look at it.
Hi, Coco. Aw. Well, Caleb, I want to start with some questions for you to see just how did you get started with running? What got you into it?
You remember?
Okay, it's during code.
During COVID.
During COVID. And Mom and the code to 5K.
It was during the pandemic, and I've been a runner for most of my life since I was in middle school. And we didn't, just like everyone, we didn't have a whole lot to do. So I said, well, try the Couch to 5K. We had our goal set for the Thanksgiving 5K. So that was, in red on our calendar. So we started training for that. I think it was the summer of 20. And, progressed a little bit every week, right? Because if you know the Couch to 5K, it's, a gradual run, walk all the way to, full run. And so did we do the first 5K that year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did 5K with the white.
No, just me that time.
That's me.
Yeah, that was his very first official race in 2020. So it's been almost 6 years.
That is awesome. I've seen a lot of people that I've spoken to start out with the Couch to 5K. I kind of started out with that too, back in, oh my God, probably showing my age now, like 2012, I think. It was just like, it had just launched on the iPhone. And so I set out to do that too. And it's no joke, especially someone who doesn't run.
Right.
It really pushes you to get stronger and faster. So that's awesome, Caleb. That's great. And congrats on the first 5K. That's a huge accomplishment. Now, you said you just finished a race the other day, but you finished a lot of races. In fact, you've completed a marathon and you're going up for London in April. What do you like the most about race day?
Okay, the people cheering for me.
People cheering for him. I don't know if you saw our video from Chicago. I had the honor of running with Caleb, and it was just the crowd support in Chicago. And I know you've been there too. Were you there last year?
I was.
Okay. Yeah. So it was just, a million plus people lining the course. And, he had his name on his shirt. So people were hearing his name. It was just fantastic. And vibes. And he is not a racer per se, like he's going for a certain timer. He just soaks it all in, which, I know we're going to get to this question later on, but that's, I think, one of the things that I've learned from him, to enjoy the race experience. And so we sure did that in Chicago. It was just, I think that was the best part for all his races, really.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing that video. Seeing that video. So many people high-fiving you, Caleb, and just really you having so much fun. I love that. And the people that go out just to have fun and enjoy the race are probably the happiest people
Yeah.
during those marathons. Because I myself can sometimes get stuck in I want to hit a specific time, I want to go a specific speed, that I can sometimes forget about just enjoying the moment. And so I really love when people show that. And especially when they're able to relay that to other people, it can help inspire them. For individuals that might want to get started with running, but think that they have to be super serious when it comes to what they
Right.
have to train with.
Right.
Now, Caleb, actually, I want to go back to when you were running Chicago last year. When you were running, how did it make you feel? Were you excited, focused? You feel strong, happy?
Okay, I'm a bit happy like this dawn.
Yeah. I bet. I
Yeah,
mean, you're
he was
running a
pretty
marathon.
happy. Yeah, it was hard. It was hard work, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this dawn is a whale.
What?
Your bump.
Oh yeah, we had our music with us. But
Do
we
you have
really
your
did use usually he loves to run with music, and but we didn't hardly use it at all in Chicago. I think because the crowd was so supportive and loud, amazing. And, I kept asking him, do you want your music? And he was like, no, I'm good. So we had it, but we really didn't, I had extra battery just in case
Mhm.
or died or anything, but we really didn't need it, did we? Because you just kept running, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I bet those crowds were pushing you along and making you just forget about the music. So that's awesome.
Right. Plus, we met a lot of great people along the course. We met another mom she had a daughter with Down syndrome, and a dad who had a son with Down syndrome, and it was just fun to connect and talk to those folks along the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the fun we have racing that I have developed with Caleb.
Yeah. I hope you have your medal just out proud for everybody to see.
I think I just finished his shadow box last week.
Nice.
So it took that long.
I honestly have most of my medals in a bag, so I haven't found anything to hang them up with. So at least we have something for him for that medal, because that's a huge accomplishment. Well, Caleb, what's your favorite race that you've done?
The gate river one cause I eat the green monster.
Yeah, the river run, I think, here in town. And, we talked about these questions last night. And I said, you've done the Donna Half Marathon where you got your Guinness World Record. You've done the Chicago Marathon. You've done a river run. What's your favorite race so far? And that's the one he picked was Monster, because it's a famous thing here in Jacksonville. It's to be Monster. Every time we drive over that area, he's like, oh, there's the green Monster. I think it was a thrill for him to beat it. And now in March will be our fourth, right? Come a long way.
I love when the races that people pick are the ones that are sentimental to them, because you hear so many people pick, some large race that so many people either know about or that they do, like a marathon. But to pick one that is that, personally connecting is great. And I love that. So last year, Caleb, you ran around with so many people in Chicago. You had tens of thousands of people, 1 million people watching you. What do you like about running with other people?
We're talking when with them and having fun.
Talking with them and having fun. And I think that plays over into almost every race that he does. It doesn't matter if it's big, small, medium, whatever. He loves to interact with people and have that shared race experience. And again, I think that's one of the things that I've learned from him is to, enjoy the community that we're in, because it's such a beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say something. I completely forgot. I mean, Caleb, you're out there giving high fives to everybody, right? And you seem like someone who's really popular. So I can only imagine how many.
He loves cheering on the other runners too, So it's not a competitive thing with him. It's a community, which is really beautiful and special.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. And I mean, you got Caleb's crew, so you've got a whole community of your own to be able to celebrate with, which is great. Now, talking about how it feels to run with other people, how does it feel when people cheer for you during a race?
Awesome. Feels great.
Feels great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Loves those cheers, loves the high fives,
Mm.
loves what? Just being a part of it all, right?
Yes.
I mean, seeing your videos, it looks like you're out there having a party. You're having so
There you
much
go.
fun.
They would party like girls, like Charlotte and Emma Gray.
Yeah. We have a party every race, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a triathlon or a road race or a trail race.
Yeah.
You just like have, right?
I love that. I love that so much. So you're part of Caleb's crew. I see it on your shirt right there.
All right.
So what does being part of Caleb's crew mean to you?
Okay. 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 It's me. It's me. I have a lot of friends who support me.
It means that he has a lot of friends to support.
And there's a lot of people
really,
that
when we were Caleb's crew kind of came about. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Buddy Walk, but the Buddy Walk is a big Down syndrome awareness walk that a lot of people do across the country. Every city, bigger city has a Buddy Walk. It seems like. And so when he was little, we did the Buddy Walk, and Caleb's crew was our team. And when it came time to kind of develop his social media, I was torn between, should we do like Caleb Pruitt or what name do we pick? And really Caleb's crew came about because it's not just about him per se. It's about the team that supports him and just really sharing awareness with others, particularly parents of young kids.
Mhm.
That, these are things that your kid can do too. You need to put the time and effort into it. But, Caleb's not a particularly gifted runner. He just enjoys it. So, people are amazed at his accomplishments. But, if you work hard enough and try hard enough.
And that's what I love about Caleb's crew is you showcase that anyone, if they put their mind to it, if they work hard, can succeed in this sport and accomplish things that they never thought were possible. And on the flip side, you're inspiring so many other people, including yourself, because you're accomplishing something that you may not have thought was possible. I can only imagine, because I've run a couple marathons myself, Caleb, and marathons are not easy. So to be able to go out there and run Chicago, that is not an easy marathon. You went out there and you absolutely did incredible. And you crossed that finish line so strong. So I'm really proud of you for that. And
it's hard work, but we did it.
Yeah. And now you've got London coming up. So I can't wait for you to do that because London is filled with, when you run the race, there's so much history. You're going to run by where the king lives. You're going to run by Big Ben, the giant clock. You're going to run by you're going to run over the Tower Bridge, which is so old. It's beautiful. And it's going to be, you're going to have so much more to look at this time than when you're in Chicago. So make sure you get all the pictures.
I'll have to have an extra phone.
Oh, yes, definitely. Bring extra batteries with you. One thing I also love about Caleb's crew is you not just have people supporting him, but you have people that are part of the crew that are supporting him as well. And I talked about this a little bit earlier about inspiring other people. But we have Caleb, because I'm sure that you were nervous when you started running, because I know I was, because I didn't know if I could do it. If someone is nervous about running for the first time or running their first race, what would you tell them?
You are train good and stick and to your plan.
Train good and stick to your plan.
Yeah.
I think, for a lot of people, and we know a lot of fairly new runners who are, just getting started. And I think it's overwhelming, when you show up at a race, you've never raced before, and it's intimidating, and, perhaps you don't know anybody. But I think if you get in your own head and just focus on doing your best, stick to your race plan, don't let people have you start running too fast too early. I mean, I know, all of us runners know what that's like. Then you're like, oh no, what did I do? But yeah, just stick to your plan and make sure the training has been done. Don't just show up, expect to race well. So, but be confident too, right? Believe in yourself. Yeah. That's one of Caleb's strong suits is that he totally believes he can do it. Why not? Yeah. Why not? Why can't I do it? And so to have that belief in yourself is a gift.
It is. Sure. It is. Because I cannot tell you how many times I did not feel that when I was running. Right. Because it feels so, going from a 5K up to a marathon can feel impossible because it's such a big difference in terms of the distance. And to be able to believe in yourself all the way from 3 miles to 26.2 and thinking I can do this requires a lot of strength. And so you're definitely showcasing a lot of perseverance and a lot of resilience, Caleb. So you are an inspiration to so many people because of that. Now, within the running community itself, I want to talk about how have you felt included within that community? I know you have Caleb's Crew, so you can talk on that, and you talked about how during your races, there's people that celebrate you on the course. How have you felt with being included in the running community?
Okay, I love
Being
a part of this and the whole make a lot of friends. It's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think, we have gradually become a part of, I think, 5 or 6 running clubs here in town. And, it's a little nerve-wracking at first to show up. You're a brand new runner. You're a runner with a disability. People have more experience than you. But, you show up that first time. There was never a community or club we have been a part of where we felt unwanted. People made space for Caleb. They made sure, he did the same kind of he was open to the same kind of training as everyone else. Whether he did the same training as everyone else, we modified it to his ability. And I think the best part again is just being a part of it all. And he celebrates them; they celebrate him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a mutual thing, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Caleb reminds me of when I was way younger. When I was a kid, I did Little League baseball. And I remember at the end of the year, I was not a good baseball player at all. I was in the outfield and I played with the grass. But at the end of the year, they handed out awards and I got team captain. And it wasn't because I was good. It was because I was supportive of everyone on the team. Every time somebody went up to bat, every time there was a good pitch or there was a good catch, I would celebrate that person. And I feel like, Caleb, you remind me of that because you not only go out there and you try to accomplish your own goals for yourself, but you go out there and you make sure that everyone within any group you're in, whether it's one of the running clubs you're part of or whether it's a race that you're going to run, feels like they are part of your community and part of the support system that you have and that you can support them as well and that you're behind them 100%. Because there are a lot of people that don't believe in themselves. And I'm sure that the belief that you have in yourself is probably infectious into others and probably passes on to them to help them with their race that you might not even know about. So that's fantastic. And then my last question for you, Caleb, is, so we talked about being included in the running community, but what have you learned about inclusion by being part of the community?
Okay. That any producers and place
Amen.
and they want they should try it.
But everyone deserves a place, and if they want to run, they should try it.
Agree with you 100%. The ability for us to show that anyone with a body type, background, gender, what have you, can get into this sport. Exactly. Doesn't matter what you look like or who you are. If you want to put shoes on and you want to go outside and you want to run either on the road or in the gravel, as you pointed out with your last race, or on the trails, you can do that. And it doesn't matter what your level is. It doesn't matter how fast you are. As long as you go out there and you try to see if the sport is for you, I think that that's a really powerful thing to instill in other people. So thank you so much for Caleb. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Karen, I want to jump over to you because you are a huge part of Caleb's life. And I can only just estimate how much of an impact and inspiration you've been to him for him getting into running because you yourself are a runner. And we talked about this a little bit with him starting with the Couch to 5K. But how else did running become part of Caleb's life and what made you say yes to it?
Well, first and foremost, I think it was the physical health piece. He had done some Special Olympics, which is great. Special Olympics is a wonderful program. We're still a part of Special Olympics. But, to really be training and really develop that cardiovascular health and the strength and endurance that comes with, regular training, regular racing, that's what really we wanted for him. And for a person with Down syndrome in particular, there's a lot of issues with the syndrome itself that can be a barrier to good health. So just to have him living his most healthful life. That was a big part of it for me personally. Then, as you know, and not even realizing the community would come from it, which has been huge as well. So that was an extra bonus, so to speak.
That's awesome. Now, what did you notice about Caleb once you started being part of the race environments in the running communities?
That he had no fear. You know, he didn't believe he was different than anyone. He wanted to be a part of it. And we started going to more and more and just found that we had a support system there and that his endurance was gaining. So we, you know, after the 5K, we were like, well, let's look for 10K. So, you know, he did his first 10K. We did it with Stephen, his buddy Stephen. And then we were like, okay, what comes after that? And then it was the 15. Then it was. We were running the 15K actually, and our friend Steven says, well, you know, a half marathon's only 4 more miles.
That's how they get you.
Well, okay.
Mom,
What?
I just grab
Steven right there.
and will be Mike.
Yep, and Mike. Yeah, there's another Mike. Yeah, he had a Special Olympics partner named Steven and also one named Mike.
Yeah,
They have
you're
all
right.
been very instrumental in supporting Caleb and making sure he got to the finish line of a lot of races.
I love that. Well, shout out to Steven and Mike. They are, to be able to help you get across the finish line is awesome. Now, and you kind of touched on this with the community aspect, but Caleb's crew has grown into something so meaningful, right? It started out with it being just the name of your group for when you did the walk initially. And it's kind of exploded since then. And you have an incredible following of individuals who support Caleb and who Caleb supports. How did it evolve from a family experience into this broader, bigger community?
Oh gosh, that's hard to say. Like I said, when we were developing the social media presence, but also I think we get a lot of messages from parents of little ones saying how Caleb has inspired them to, in their own child's journey, to not place limits on them. But also, you know, I mean, we just got a message right before we hopped on with you, a regular lady, and she said, you know, Caleb, you've inspired me to get off my couch and go for a walk today. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, that sort of thing that fills our heart. I think it makes us feel good and encourages us to share, you know, about Caleb's journey, even when there's days where it's like, I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in that or not. I think raising Caleb, so different, but so much the same as raising your daughter. You know, there's day to day. It's, you know, he goes to school, you know, makes breakfast, makes lunch, etc. But you know, there's little things that make it different. And I think people appreciate that we try and live as normal of a life as possible. Down syndrome.
Oh, hi, Coco. Well, I want to say, Caleb, that you inspire me. I love seeing your posts online. I love seeing just the joy that you bring to running. And that's something that I think is one of the things that probably makes you probably get so many other people inspired by you, because there's so much joy that just exudes from what you do, because we can tell that you love it and that you're having a good time. And we don't know who's watching. That's what social media could be. Someone who's a runner who's been running in the sport for years, or someone who hasn't, as you pointed out, you know, hasn't put shoes on before and they're going to go outside and go for a walk for the first time. So, you know, definitely keep doing what you're doing, Caleb, because you're inspiring the next generation of runners to be able to go out there and give it their all.
Okay, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
So with the Caleb's crew and how it's grown and become something so much more than what it initially was, what have you learned about inclusion by just watching how people respond to Caleb?
That it goes both ways, really. You know, there's lessons to be learned being a part of an inclusive community for him, certainly, you know, but there's also lessons that he's teaching people in the community who perhaps have never interacted with somebody with a disability or with Down syndrome. And, you know, I think the potential possibility of what he's accomplishing shows people that, you know, their expectations perhaps need to be tweaked comes to people with disabilities, so that there perhaps aren't as many limits as they thought there were initially, which is a wonderful thing to be a part of and see people's, you know, like when I show up to a race by myself now, it's like, where's Caleb? You know, it's like, chopped liver now. All they want to see is Caleb, which is awesome. But they expect him to be there, which is the most awesome thing. Is like, why isn't he here? Instead of why is he here? Why isn't he? So I think those tables have turned, which is great.
That is so powerful to have him not show up and then everybody question why he's not there. Your advocacy for him is beautiful, and the way that you lead your advocacy is, and I see it through all the posts that you put out with Caleb, is through joy. It's through showing the happiness of the moment, of showing, as you pointed out, that there are no limitations. What people may consider or think is a limitation is really not. Why has this type of approach mattered to you?
I think it's more natural for us, to show the joyful part of it, as opposed to, there are hard days. There's hard days in everybody's life. And for someone with a disability, is there more hard days? Perhaps. But I think to show the joyful days and the days where there has been some success, whether it's, going to a new doctor for the first time, we posted about last week, that touched a nerve with a lot of people. Like, how do I, my child is getting to an age where he or she needs to start going to an adult care physician. How do I make that jump from pediatrician to adult care? But just kind of sharing those little glimpses of this life, not just running, but some other things as well, I think helps people, particularly parents of kids with Down syndrome, to, think differently. My kid go to a regular doctor. They don't have to go to a special care facility.
Mm-hmm.
It's just helping people see differently, I think, is the big part of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's important to show not just the running aspect sometimes of things, but the real life behind it, because it gives an authenticity behind what you're doing, which I think sometimes is lacking on social media, because people like to just share I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, sharing just their highlights and their successes. And they don't know what goes into, running the Chicago Marathon and things like that, all of the things that come before it that lead up to that incredible success. And being able to showcase that as well allows people to feel like they're not alone, and like their struggles also matter, because they could be going through something that is very similar and think that they shouldn't be going through it because they don't see other people kind of going through it as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think to be able to showcase that is so important. Now, have there been any moments where you've seen running spaces just really get it right when it comes to inclusion?
There's been a lot, actually, more than I anticipated when we first started getting involved in racing, whether it's triathlon or whether it's running. I've seen race directors, usually at the very beginning, and even still today, I'll email the race, hey, just want to make you aware, our son Caleb has Down syndrome. He's X amount of age and he's going to be running in your event. I just want to know, do you have any accommodations? I'm going to be running with him. Is that okay? A lot of times the races will let the race supporter or the race partner participate without cost. Sometimes, but not every time. And so just to reach out to the race director and make them aware that they're going to have somebody with a disability participating in their event, I think makes them appreciate you for that, sharing that information with them, but also brings awareness to the space of the race. Maybe they can do a little bit more. Maybe they can offer a little bit more accommodation that they hadn't thought about before. I think it's grown as we've developed relationships with race directors. And now, we see other people with disabilities showing up, whether that's part of Caleb's influence or, our sharing his story. But I think it's really wonderful to see more and more, people with disabilities racing and participating and improving their health overall.
Yeah, I think it's so important to push for so much more inclusion within the running community, especially when it comes to athletes with disabilities, because I feel like there's not, at least to me, from what I've seen, there can be instances where there's massive barriers that shouldn't necessarily need to be there. And it could be because of what you are doing, where you're communicating with the race directors, you're having this open conversation so that they're aware, and then it can get them thinking as well. And I guarantee you, race directors talk to each other. So I'm sure if you've spoken to one, they probably reached out to several others and been like, hey, I had this mother call me and she had this great idea about making the race more inclusive. I think we should start doing that kind of at a wider perspective. And that just knocks down barrier after barrier, and it causes all of this massive change, which I think we are really seeing over the last couple of years when it comes to inclusion within the running community. So I have no doubt that part of that is probably because of individuals like you.
We hope so. And I think just to see race categories developing and expanding. Sure, you have to put a cap on, certain race categories because there can't be an award for everybody. But I think just the awareness of, athletes with disabilities or para athletes or athletes non-binary or whatever it might be, to see those categories developing.
Absolutely. One thing that really stood out to me, and one of the reasons I reached out to you about being on this podcast, was I saw you make a post about what Caleb has inspired in you, which I thought was so powerful. And you've touched on it a little bit today about just how he's been kind of infectious in terms of what he's been able to show with his perseverance. But what else has Caleb taught you about, being present, the resilience needed with these races, and redefining success, and how has he inspired your own running journey?
Well, he's never quit a race. He's done 100, and as of yesterday, 132 races. He's never stopped in the middle. He's never stopped in a training. Said, this is it. I don't want to do it anymore. So to me, that shows huge perseverance, and stick-to-itiveness. That, perhaps I'm going for a 10-mile planned 10-mile run and 4 miles in, in the back of my mind, I'm like, what would Caleb do? He would stick with it. He would keep going. So that, that piece, but, last year in Chicago, just the joy of running the race, being a part of that experience, it's so much bigger than a race per se. It was the experience of the city seemingly coming together to support all these runners out there. It was just amazing to be a part of. We've never been a part of anything like that. So that was, hopefully we'll experience that same thing in London again. But he's really kind of opened my eyes to the bigger picture of racing and training. Yeah, it's been awesome.
I love that. I love that. And I have no doubt that you'll feel the same thing when you're in London too, because I think London is even bigger. So you have even more people running this race. I don't know if last year, I think that they hit the world record for the most people in a marathon. I think it may have been broken by New York last year, but I have no doubt that they're going to try to do it again.
Sure.
So you're definitely going to be in great company with people that will support Caleb all along the way. Now, this journey that you've been on, I want to know how it's changed the way that you see sport, community, or even parenting during all of this.
Parenting for sure. It's when you have a baby, when your baby with Down syndrome is born, there's a lot of negativity that comes with it. It's here's what he won't be able to do. Here's the things that he can't. Don't even try. It's not worth it. And in the beginning, you don't know. Most people only have one child with a disability. So it's been a learning curve his whole life, 18 years, almost 19. And I think in the beginning, you're almost afraid to try new things because you don't want to hurt them. You don't want to expose them to any danger. But, as he got older and did try different things and started to be successful at them, it was like, why can't he have the opportunity to try things just like his sister did? There should, he can try the same amount of things that she can try. So that's really opened my eyes to, the potential and the possibility that's there. And I'm sorry, what was the other?
Just how it changed the way you might see the sport or community.
Oh, the sport. I have raced a lot of my life, and previous to Caleb, when I would show up at a race, I was very hyper-focused on, wouldn't talk to a lot of people, just focused on my race and doing my best. And now it's like a big party when we show up on race day because, people know him probably more than they know me. So it's like, hey, let's do some pictures, what's going on with Caleb. And so it's like, really, it's developed into kind of like an extended family here in town where we have a lot of friends, which has been wonderful.
Awesome. Now, I want to turn my attention to other people that might be listening. So what would you want other parents of kids with disabilities to know about getting involved in running or some other form of community sports?
Yeah. It's a biggie because, we were never really encouraged when he was younger to go outside, this is your lane, this is where you need to stay, but to really get involved in the community because later on, Caleb's an adult. So having friendships outside of our little bubble has been wonderful because now when we go places, it's not, we don't have to go in certain groups with certain people. We can just go and be a part of the community and people know him and, perhaps will that lead to a job opportunity? There's a lot different tangents, I think, that could happen as a result of this. And plus, better physical health.
Yes.
That's really important. And I think for parents of younger ones, we're seeing more and more people with Down syndrome exercising, and eating right, taking care of themselves, which is great. So hopefully that trend, hopefully.
Definitely. Now, on the flip side, for other runners or for race directors or any running clubs that might be listening, what's one small thing that they could potentially do to make running spaces more welcoming or inclusive?
I think just being open to, our community, to hosting runners with differing abilities, to making sure that there's certain accommodations and space in place. But if there's not, what would it take to make that happen? So I would encourage people with disabilities or with any difference, if you want to start getting involved, make sure you reach out to the race. They don't know unless you show up on race day and you're like, I need accommodations. They're not going to know ahead of time. So it goes both ways. They have to be proactive. But then I think it's important for the race director to take them seriously and have those accommodations ready for them when they do show up to a race.
Definitely. Before I jump into the next segment, were there any other things that you wanted to share? Any other statements before we jump over to the hot seat?
I think so. It's been a fun journey. So like I said, it's been almost 6 years now. I think, aside from developing community, developing health, developing friendships, it's been a win-win for us.
Is Caleb's goal to run all of the World Marathon majors?
Maybe.
Man. Well, if you ever run New York, I usually run that every year, so hopefully I can see you there. I would love that. This episode is also brought to you by Salt Stick. Now, if you've ever bonked at mile 20 or in those later miles of your marathons, I guarantee you the main reason was because of electrolytes. You may have paid attention to your hydration when it came to your water. You may have had the perfect amount of gels, split that up really well with your energy chews. But if you're not replenishing your electrolytes as you run those races, you will bonk. You will hit cramps, you will get dizzy, even potentially pass out. So that's why I cannot recommend Salt Stick enough. One of my favorite products by them are their fast chews, and they replenish pretty much all the major nutrients that you need during your races, which is going to be obviously your sodium, your potassium, your magnesium, your calcium, and it helps make sure that you do not bonk in those later miles. I can tell you from personal experience that since I started taking them, I have not had that bonk feeling or that issue later on in my races. Now, when it comes to my knees and my ankles, that's a whole different story. But when it comes to my electrolytes and making sure that they are consistent throughout my race, Salt Stick does the job. And they come in chewable tablets, they come in capsules that you can swallow. So there's different ways for you to take them. They come in different flavors, and they have one that's specifically for people with POTS, which is great for me. If you use the code Mike Runs Marathons, you can save 20% off of your purchase, and you can order. And the bottles come with quite a few of the the bottles of the fast juice come with. Oh my God. The bottles come with quite a few amount of fast juice, so you're getting a pretty large quantity for the amount of money that you're paying, and it's not that much. I think it's about $13, $14 for a bottle, so definitely go check them out, saltstick.com. You can also find them on places like Amazon or your local running store, because they're pretty much everywhere, and I promise you that bonk feeling that you've had later on in those miles will ultimately disappear. All right, so let's jump into the second part of our interview. Now, for this next segment, I call this the hot seat. So these are quick questions, Caleb, that I ask everybody. Don't think too hard on them. Just whatever comes to mind first. You can give me your best answer. So the first question that I have is, do you prefer running on the trail or on the road?
Okay, the road.
The road?
Yeah.
Okay. Me too.
Caleb's only done one trail race, true trail race. We've done a couple like cross country-ish type with different terrain like we did yesterday, but one true trail race. I'm not sure he was a fan of that. So I think we stick with road for the most part.
Yeah, I trail running for me is just not good because I fall all the time.
Yeah, it's the roots and yeah.
It's a struggle. What is your favorite running shoe brand right now?
Okay. I'm sorry, go.
Yeah, his Chicago. So Newton, he got a pair of Newtons when he was USAT United Triathlon Ambassador, and he loved them from the get go. And so he's got a selection of shoes in the closet. Caleb and I wear the same size, so we could trade off shoes. So we have a bunch in the closet, but he will always defer to the Newton. So it's a smaller brand, but he loves them. They're not as cushy as
Mhm.
I like. I love the Asics.
Yes.
So Asics and Saucony make up most of my shoe collection.
Well, I'm glad you're able to find your own pair of shoes at your own company that you like, Caleb. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, are you an early morning runner or a late night runner or afternoon?
We get up early and run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that we enjoy it particularly. I think morning, you're done, get it over with. But also, a couple of our running groups that we are participants with do the early morning run. So 6 o'clock we're there. Let's go run 10 miles.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been a morning runner, so I think it's just a default for Caleb that he's running in the morning.
More power to you, Caleb. I cannot wake up in the morning. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's such a struggle for me. Now, I might know the answer to this, but when you do a long run, do you prefer to do it alone or with others?
Okay, I'm sorry with others.
With others.
Yeah. Yeah, you run with your run
Definitely.
clubs?
Yes.
Yeah. Or mom, Usually our routine is I pick them up from school and we go to the gym or we go to the pool or, right after school we get it done. We're training a lot. We got a triathlon coming up next month.
Wow.
We've been swimming a whole lot, so we got to jump back into the pool and get some swim training.
You are busy, Caleb. Wow, you've got the triathlon, you've got the marathon. Wow, you are a busy beaver. Woo! Now, after you finish your races, what's your favorite meal? Your favorite food to eat?
Okay. My favorite is mac and cheese.
Cheese. Yeah.
Mac and cheese. Did you say homemade mac and cheese or just
No.
mac and cheese? Just mac and cheese?
Yeah, it's mac and cheese. Yeah. Mom's not the cook. Dad's the cook at our house. But
You sound like
I will say, usually after we finish a run, what do you get when we get home?
Oh yeah, with the
Yeah.
You sound like my
That's
wife.
been-
She loves mac and cheese and she loves chocolate.
Yeah. So it's hard not to love chocolate and cheese.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, when you're on your easy runs, Caleb, do you like to listen to music, podcasts, or do you like to run in silence?
Okay episode with music.
Definitely with music. We had a friend who, I don't know if you know the little Knox gear speaker. Yeah, so we had a friend in our Mr. Kevin that is in our Galloway group, and he had a speaker, and we were like, "Wow, what is that?" And so the next day we got our speaker. So now we have 2 of them because we love
That
them.
is so cool. That is so
Yeah.
cool.
But then we can
I'm
have
the
our
same way,
music.
Caleb. Yeah, I'm the same way, Caleb. I have to run with music. I can't run with nothing. I need to be able to listen to something that's going to get me pumped up.
Oh Mike.
Now, what is one piece of running gear that you can't live without? And you can't say your shoes.
That would probably be our Knox gear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Need that speaker?
our speaker. Yeah, but in the mornings too, we have the Knox gear vests.
Yep.
It's not dawn yet, and they're the flashy. We love them.
hmm Yeah, I have one of those too, actually.
Yeah,
It's
they're
great. Great. Now, Caleb, do you have a dream race that you've always wanted to do?
Okay. Episode with you.
Want to race with me? Not really. We haven't really picked out one. We've got some that we're considering for next year. I don't know if you would call them dream races. They might be dream races. So we'll just we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, you're going to keep us all in suspense.
Yeah.
And Caleb, I think I know the answer to this, but the person I'm assuming you want to run them with is your mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he does like running with, his friends
Mhm.
too. So I think
I
it's
love
just
that.
easier for me because, we're here together. Yeah.
Well, that is great. Well, those are actually all the questions that I had for both of you today. I want to thank both of you, Caleb and Karen, so much for sharing your story today. Caleb, the way that you talk about running, the joy that you have for it, the pride that you have for what you accomplished, and the connections that you have made with so many people is a reminder of what this sport is really about. It's about communication, it's about supporting one another, and it's about connecting with those individuals that might sometimes feel like they can't believe in themselves. And Karen, the way that you've helped create a space, not just for your son, but for so many others, shows what real inclusion looks like when it's built with care and with love. And I can tell just how genuinely proud you are of Caleb and how much his success and the things that he's accomplished inspires you. If you're not or if you're listening and you're not already following them, their username is Caleb's_crew. So I really encourage you to follow them. Their story reminds us that running is better when everyone is welcome exactly as they are. Again, I want to thank Caleb and Karen so much for being on the show today. I've been such a huge fan of Caleb for a while now, and to have both of them on the show is an honor, because Caleb inspires me in my own running journey, and being able to see his successes and break down barriers and push for a more inclusive running community is what this platform is all about. And it's what we need more of in the running world overall. So I want to thank both of them again for being on the show. And that is our cool down for the week. I want to thank you so much for spending part of your run, your drive, your walk, or however you listen to this podcast with me, because it genuinely means the world. If today's episode hit, please share it with a running friend, leave a rating, or come find me over on social media at Mike Runs Marathons. We have a new episode every Monday. And until then, I want to remind you to run your race at your own pace. I'll see you in the next one.